to the unmarried. Xiefeng. If you are unmarried and have no intention of getting married, I bless you. You will surely attain happiness in life and a bright future of life. The institution of marriage is a design of the devil, aimed at dragging people into hell. Angels entering into marriage can turn into demons, and human nature is distorted through marriage. The majority of human suffering in society originates from marriage, and most of life's unhappiness comes from marriage. Marriage is ugly. Marriage is a calamity. Marriage is a catalyst for jealousy, comparison, selfishness, strife, corruption, and narrow-mindedness. Marriage is an incubator of troubles, pain, anxiety, sorrow, anger, discontent, and resentment. Marriage is the birthplace of familial, racial, and national conflicts. Marriage is an obstacle and resistance to the elevation of human life quality to heavenly realms. Christ Jesus tells us, in heaven, there is neither marrying nor giving in marriage. The fundamental reason why heaven is beautiful lies in the absence of marriage. To enjoy the beauty of heavenly life, one must never enter into marriage. Imagine, if you enter into marriage, what would you do if the other person has personal flaws? What if they have bad habits? What if they have a tendency for violence, unreasonable behavior, extreme selfishness, a volatile and irritable temper, lack of hygiene, vanity, socializing excessively, being suspicious, having a strong possessiveness, not allowing you to interact with the opposite sex, and constantly nagging in your ear, always finding fault with you? What will you do? Either endure it for a lifetime or get a divorce, but whether enduring or divorcing, both are painful and tragic in life. Life is short. In the blink of an eye, it is a lifetime. Why bind yourself with others? Whether in heaven or on earth, freedom is the most precious. Where there is freedom, there is paradise, and where there is no freedom, there is hell. Binding yourself to others will undoubtedly result in the loss of freedom, which is not worth the trade-off. Human history is a chronicle of suffering, and everyone's life upon entering marriage is a contract of self-sale. When humanity gazes upon the vastness of the cosmos, it is only then that we realize our history is also a chronicle of ignorance. The essence of this ignorance lies in the fact that each person willingly and unknowingly walks into the entangling web of marriage. When sweet love enters the halls of marriage, as time passes by, the beautiful wishes gradually settle into the riverbed of years. The efforts and aspirations to change the other person eventually fade away like illusions. Hope turns into disappointment, disappointment turns into despair, and ultimately, one enters the bottomless abyss of reincarnation with endless remorse and regret. When we look up at the vastness of the cosmos, we find a place in the Milky Way galaxy where people live without marriage. Everyone loves and cares for each other, living in harmony and peace. The mountains and rivers are beautiful, and there are abundant natural resources. Everyone relishes the joys of being alive and the fortunate blessings of destiny, with boundless yearning and anticipation for a bright future. That kind of life is the life that Earth's humanity should emulate. That is the direction of human development, and that planet is the primary form of heaven, the thousand-year world. My blessing to the unmarried is, you will eventually enter the heavenly realm of the thousand-year world. 8 footstones for a successful life. Shuifeng. Believe in the greatest creator firmly. The greatest creator is the source of life and wisdom, and this fundamental guarantee leads to higher life spaces. Life that departs from the greatest creator is devilish life and is destined to be ruined. Follow the way of Tao. Tao is truth, the source of spirit and soul, and the bridge or channel of attaining eternal life. It is also a sufficient and necessary condition for sublimating life quality. A life without following Tao is an illusion, as transitory as a night-blooming flower. Respect your national leaders. The president, king, or chairman of a country is the leader of a societal group, and a society without a leader is a disordered society which will surely be unstable. Respect for the president or king is a necessary quality of every citizen. Desecration of or resistance to the president or king often results in a loss of the basic quality of being a citizen. Such people will surely lead stormy and turbulent lives. Be filial and respect your parents. Heaven has the Tao of heaven, hell has the Tao of hell, and the same holds true for people. Being filial and respectful to one's parents is one of the main principles we should follow as human beings. Our parents are the roots of life's bodies on earth, and if we are not filial and do not respect our parents, then we will be destroying the roots of our lives, and such lives without roots will lead people to become lost and lonely souls. Be trustworthy and have integrity. We cannot be trusted without integrity, and once we lose our integrity, we will slip downward into the lower life spaces of demons, devils, ghosts, and monsters, and join the camp of devils. Although wearing the skin of a person, such a life does not belong to a human being anymore. Be diligent and motivated. Laziness leads to ignorance and poverty. Being gluttonous, lazy, and wandering around all day without purpose, and these are the wastrel's lifestyle. An inch of time is an inch of gold, but even an inch of gold cannot buy back an inch of time. Life should not be wasted at any moment, but should cherish time and seek happiness in struggles. Those who are studious and motivated have bright, splendid futures, but those who are shiftless, negative, and pessimistic can only have tragic lives. Be courageous. Do not make trouble, but do not fear trouble either. Dare to face reality and let yourself go. Be good at winning, but dare to be defeated. Be able to come back after being destroyed utterly. Be able to hold the sword, fight on a running horse, and rush toward difficulties. Always remain calm before danger, and be fearless and dauntless in the face of death. Love collective life. In nature, there are unexpected storms, and in life, unpredictable vicissitudes. How much energy can single individuals have? Can they face heavy crises and changeable situations alone? Even if they achieve great success by themselves and own enormous amounts of wealth, if they have no trustable friends and close partners with whom to share their happiness and pains, what is the value of it? Everyone shows their own magical powers and crosses the seas together, like the 8 immortals flying across the sea from a famous Chinese fairy tale. Everyone appreciates and takes care of each other, like a transformer can not only fight well separately but also cooperate well with other partners, and becomes an invincible fighter when combined into one. Life without love for collective life is a sad life and suffers much loneliness. Above are the 8 footstones of a successful life, and none of them can be excluded. Life should be spent like this. Shuifeng. Life is a short journey of life, a process of life, not the ultimate goal. No matter our life is difficult or easy, life itself is beautiful, and the time of short decades can't be purchased at any price. When it is lost, we can never get it back. We must pursue a rich and colorful life, and be brave enough to experience different situations. Don't be afraid of setbacks, failures, risks, and adversities. Don't be afraid of losing something. We had nothing when we came to the earth, and cannot take even a piece of leaf when we leave. Everything of life is just an experience. It doesn't matter if we are winning or failing. I want to say again here, life is like a dream. All space directions are void. We should have full experiences and live our life to the most so that we won't have regrets when we leave the earth. We must be rebellious, otherwise, we are not able to get out of the bondage of other people's thinking power. We must have courage to walk the way nobody has walked before. Breaking new paths in jungles or wildness may make us black and blue, and we may wander at times. However, only by living this way, our life is the most valuable. We must be positive and optimistic. As long as we are still alive and haven't left the world, we cannot be depressed and give up our hopes, even in the last minute. We should still climb towards the highest peak of life and life. We should despise the behavior which is coward, lazy, and pessimistic, and despise the negative lifestyle that nothing is accomplished. We must go towards the brightness and shouldn't compromise to the darkness. We must bring our wisdom and talents into full play and leave no regrets. The greatest life is the life that serves the whole humanity, the life that brings people brightness, hope, and happiness. Only by holding this value and attitude, we can be inspired to have great wisdom and have endless energy and great abilities. We are then able to distinguish between the right and wrong and have a clear mind. We are able to go forward without the fear of any hardship or difficulties. We must find the like-minded and people who have the same vibration frequencies. We must avoid loneliness. A journey having companies is much better than traveling alone. Happiness of oneself is not real happiness. Group happiness is real happiness. We must have good teachers and friends. The more beautiful our soul, more good teachers and friends we will have. If we are lonely without the company of good people, our life is definitely miserable, boring, and dull, and it will become a lament. We must be as pure as jade. We must be innocent, open, and above board. When we hate someone, we make it open. When we love someone, we express it clearly. We walk our talk and show the same inside and outside. We never go in for intrigues and conspiracy, never be furtive. We must be honest to ourselves and others, and are not afraid of ghosts knock the door at midnight. We never do anything furtively. All dirty things are leading us to the hell. They sell our lives to the monster, and we will not be able to clear it in our lifetime. Therefore, it will be difficult for our lives to be saved, and we are not able to stand straight and have a clear mind, and we will end up achieving nothing. We know that the universe is made of three elements: consciousness, structure, and energy, which has offered us limitless future. Our life is limit, but our life is unlimited. As long as we have perfect consciousness, we will have perfect life structure. As long as we have perfect life structure, we will attract the corresponding energy. That way, we will be able to extend our life to the unlimited time and space. We also know that the key points of cultivation are nature, love, and Tao. Nature. When we follow our nature of origin, we are Buddha. Love. When we love others same as we love ourselves, we are God. Tao. When we walk following Tao, we are celestial. Histories are endless. Our future is so promising. Life is so beautiful. As long as we are still alive, we have hope. As long as we work hard, we have brilliant future. As long as we give up our own interest. As long as we look forward and don't lose direction when we face gain and loss, we are able to experience the most wonderful feeling, and we are able to stride across rivers, climb over mountains to reach the ideal shore. Creating life a genuine era for humanity is our highest ideal. To extend our life from the earth to 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and Elysium world is our unremitting pursuit. This is the most important thing of our life. Whatever consciousness we have corresponding life existence style and space. This is a truth with no doubt. All people who have spiritual sense, let us be shown under the light of revere the greatest creator, revere nature, and revere life. Walk on the way of the greatest creator. Devote our limited lifetime to unlimited creation. Let us raise awareness, shift thinking, perfect consciousness, and perfect life structure to create a brand new life and enjoy the endless happiness of life and life. Overcome all worldly thoughts and enter sainthood. Foster righteousness by learning from nature. Emulate the sages and saints in human history. Our beautiful ideal will definitely be realized. Let's plan our life with a span of 100,000 years. When we look back, we will say, "Ah, my life has no regrets at all." Live to the extreme. Exert to the extreme. Siefing. Feel whether you are dead. If you are not dead, there is always hope, and there is still a chance to dance a tango on the edge of death. Not long ago, a Huang and I and a Danish couple went to the Lac La Hatch Park to pick mushrooms. A Huang and I ate the mushrooms. We did not dare to share them with the guests. At about 2:30 in the middle of the night, the mushrooms' toxic effects broke out. We vomited violently, felt dizzy, and had diarrhea. We considered that the cost of going to the hospital was too high and we could not afford it, so we did not call an ambulance. On the one hand, we rescued ourselves. On the other hand, we were prepared for death. We forcibly drank a lot of salt water and randomly vomited and excreted. Unexpectedly, we returned to peace at 4:30, and we did not die. I was tired and wanted to sleep, but thinking that I needed to make breakfast for the guests in the morning, I didn't sleep anymore for fear that I would have overslept. I was still alive, didn't die. I was so happy and fortunate. Compared to death, it's no big deal losing several hours of sleep. I've watched movies such as Into the White, Survival of the Jedi, Hacksaw Ridge, and so on. Thinking about myself now, I am so happy. Every day there is food to fill my stomach, and there is a house to live in. I have eyes to see, legs to walk on, hands to work with, a mouth to talk with. I am so fortunate and happy. About my age, it's just over 60. That I have lived safely to the age of 60 is already a great blessing and great good fortune. Thank God. Thank heaven. What is the rest of my time to be used for? Wholeheartedly and selflessly for the benefit of this world. Live to the extreme, exert to the extreme. Since I didn't die, then I should make breakfast for the guests. The soldiers trained by the American West Point Military Academy are brave and good at fighting. It is said that the West Point Military Academy has a famous BEAST program, which is a series of cruel training exercises of human nature, physiology, psychology, and intelligence. One-fifth of the students who have undergone rigorous selection cannot stand the training of wild beasts and are eliminated. Those who can persist are the best among the soldiers because they bring human nature to the extreme. Looking back, have I lived to the extreme? Did I live out my value? I am ashamed to say that I did not. I have wasted a lot of precious time. I have been living in a situation of having adequate food and clothing without any great tribulation. My daily time is not fully used for learning, thinking, exploring, studying, struggling, and experiencing. I checked my life accounts and found that before the age of 35, I spent my life being muddle-headed without any achievements. Although at the age of 18, I served as the party branch secretary of the Village Production Brigade and managed the affairs of 11 villages for 3 years, it was basically mediocre. There are no highlights to show off. At the age of 36, my life started to have a little bit of color. I was then working as an interpreter for a project in Zimbabwe, Africa. It was worth mentioning that for more than a year, there were no holidays, no weekends, and I worked more than 10 hours every day. The most exciting time there was one night when there was no moonlight, only starlight. I drove a dilapidated Jeep, the lights didn't work, none of the big or small lights were working, the drive shaft of the car could have easily fallen off, the car did not have a roof, and the steering wheel had excessive free play. Once the car broke down, it couldn't be started again, unless pushed by people or dragged by other vehicles. Therefore, once it was started, I had to make sure it wouldn't stall. Under this kind of night and vehicle conditions, I drove more than 80 kilometers in the African jungle and on the highway. Thinking about it later, it was very thrilling. It was risking with my life. It also belongs to the BEAST training of the West Point Military Academy. I started my own business, opening a company, at the age of 38. My busiest time was when I had 4 shops, a nightclub, a bar, and a fast food restaurant. I would sleep no more than 5 hours a day. To save time, I limited my meal time to 10 minutes. In general, I finished a meal in 5 or 6 minutes to deal with an average of 9 things every day. But I think that I haven't exerted my life to its limit. I should have done more. The more than 10 years of establishing the theoretical system of life at Genuine can be regarded as hard work. At least every day, I worked hard. The Chanyuan corpus and Siefeng corpus with thousands of articles and tens of millions of words were written by me day and night without wasting any time. But this cannot be considered as living to the extreme, because I just make the best of my time, sleep less, and entertain less. I have no worry about food, clothing, shelter, transportation, life, old age, sickness, and death. There is no suffering, no hardship, and it can't be said that it is wonderful. The 10 years of creating the new oasis for life, the second home, with Chanyuan Celestials have been 10 years of enjoyment. Although a new mode of production and life has been created and a bright road has been initiated for mankind, all these have been done in playing and entertainment. There is no suffering, no tiredness, no pain, no great hardship, and it cannot be counted as having lived to the extreme of human nature. If there is something that we can show off, it is the 9 picturesque and Xanadu-like homes that we have created which were then destroyed because of the government's incomprehension, misunderstanding, and misinterpretation. We were driven out of the homes. Our 26 million funds disappeared in smoke. We, 150 people, had no houses to live in, no food to eat, and most of our daily supplies were gone. We went on the road of vagrancy. There was nothing left. In this case, we did not complain about the heaven, the earth, the government, nor did we petition, raise banners, whine, protest, march, rebel, or do anything to harm others, society, or nature. We did not sink into negative and pessimistic emotions. We licked our wounds and not only survived miraculously, but also lived very happily. In this regard, we lived out our natural and unrestrained lives and lived to the extreme. How could we do this? Because we are grass, Chanyuan celestials are grass. Boundless grasses across the plain come and go with every season. Wildfires never quite consume them. They are tall once more in the spring wind. In fact, even if the spring wind does not blow, even if the wind is cold, the grass won't die, because the grass will live to its extreme, will exert itself to the extreme. Only those who have gone through hardships alive, still struggling for a better future, are qualified to talk about life, ideals, to discuss scriptures and Tao. Only those with a strong heart are qualified to talk about life, ideals, and to discuss scriptures and Tao. Only those who have lost all material security but still love life, and love nature, are qualified to lead mankind to a better era. Only those who serve the people wholeheartedly, can tolerate everything, and possess universal values are qualified to lead humankind to a better life. Even if the entire group is annihilated, as long as there is one person, as long as he is a Chanyuan celestial, he will still hold the banner of the new era and guide mankind towards the peak of life and life without hesitation, without retreat. To enter the Xiefeng-style communist society, globally, every Chanyuan celestial himself is a light that will shine, will live to the extreme, will exert to the extreme, making effort to cultivate an integrated and independent consciousness. Shuefeng. Self-harmony is the supreme realm of self-cultivation. In order to achieve it, one must have an integrated and independent consciousness, and practitioners need to cultivate their own ones continuously. When your own consciousness is no longer influenced or interfered with by the consciousnesses of fellow humans, yours will have achieved self-consistency, namely Tathagata. Then the most beautiful stage of life will be unveiled. Contradictions, conflicts, annoyances, pains, anxieties, and sorrows come mostly from incomplete and dependent consciousnesses. That is, when you do not have an integrated and independent consciousness, you will be caught in dilemmas, vacillation, risky recklessness, and be lost in those aforementioned maladies. When you encounter problems but have no idea how to deal with them, you should listen to the words and advice of others, but it is easy to become confused, injure yourself, or even follow the wrong path. This would result from your lack of an integrated and independent consciousness. Having your own opinion on everything will allow you to know how to deal with all affairs, and your life will be left with few regrets. The more that you depend on the outside, the more you will be influenced and controlled by outside consciousnesses, the more passive you will be, and the more you will become slaves and vassals to other consciousnesses. As a result, you will not find your true self, and your nature of origin will be submerged. Not to mention becoming a celestial being or achieving Buddhahood, it would even be difficult to conduct yourself as a person. How could your life not be painful? The difference between slaves and slave owners is that slaves do not have their own integrated and independent consciousnesses, but slave owners have their own relatively integrated and independent consciousnesses. There is a pet phrase, following people's advice and bread will be coming, which is not only a bait from slave owners to slaves, but also words that those who have relatively integrated and independent consciousnesses say to those who lack them and remain undecisive on everything. Adhering to one's own opinion, insisting on one's own ways, remaining stubborn and rigid, and sticking to dogma are not expressions of integrated and independent consciousnesses. The so-called integrated and independent consciousness shows that one's own values, outlook on life and outlook on the universe conform to the way of the greatest creator. On this basis, one can handle all affairs on their journey through life without being influenced or interfered with by others' consciousnesses. So, how do we cultivate integrated and independent consciousnesses? Understand the origins of the universe, of life, of humanity, and their moving and their revolutionary trends. Understand the values, meanings of life, the principles of life and its evolutionary program. Understand roughly Tao's features and operating mechanism. the laws of the universe, including causality, and that the sum of negative and positive energy always equals zero. Understand the main meaning of the way of the greatest creator. Understand the meaning and mystery of space, especially 20 parallel worlds and 36-dimensional spaces. Understand the non-material, what lies within it, its values and effects, and the non-material world. Have a clear picture of your own condition and the direction of your efforts over time. Able to observe human society from a higher perspective. Understand its operating mechanism and its advantages and disadvantages. One is unable to cultivate an integrated and independent consciousness until they have finished these 8 courses. They might form an independent consciousness, but without integrity, it would be flawed, go to extremes easily, be blind and even harmful, and lead easily to despotism and dictatorship. Concentrate on the main point. Once the key point is grasped, everything else will fall into their proper places. After finishing the 8 courses above, one will have a clear mind and their own opinion for dealing with everything. Then, the boundless universe will no longer be complicated and unfathomable. The journey of life will no longer be full of confusion and hardships, and the path of life will no longer be a cycle of rebirths. Most of the injuries that we suffer in our lifetimes are caused by our relationships with other people, and the direct reason is that we do not have integrated and independent consciousnesses. The conflicts of consciousnesses between people are the greatest conflicts and problems in life. To reduce them, we should begin by having consciousnesses that are integrated and independent. Then we should be free from the influence and control of others as far as possible. Only then will we be able to finally unite with Tao and achieve complete self-harmony. Life Genuine is the final course for people, and Chanyuan celestials who fully comprehend the meaning of Life Genuine stand on the summit of human wisdom. No one can guide them further because they have acquired integrated and independent consciousnesses gradually and know how to deal with all affairs by taking the way of the greatest creator. Even I, their guide, would have no more influence over them because we gradually become the same, resonating in harmony to the same frequency, and the problem of interplay or interference will no longer exist. This is why I always stress that I am just a guide, not a master or a savior of humanity, because we are ultimately equal and independent of each other. I expect that all of you will make the effort to cultivate and form your own integrated and independent consciousnesses as soon as possible, to be free from the bondage, shackles, and control of the consciousnesses of others, and to leave the kingdom of necessity for the realm of freedom. Pass through the fuzzy swamp. Xiefeng. Yesterday, I proposed that if something is not helpful, then it is harmful, but if it is harmless, then it is beneficial. Then I asked everyone to help verify whether my proposition is true. As a result, there were many different opinions and no consensus. Where is the problem? It lies in the fuzzy area. That is, it is impossible to determine whether it is or is not, or whether it is right or wrong. The fuzzy zone is more correctly a fuzzy swamp. Your judgment can easily be trapped, which makes you choose wrongly. In fuzzy swamps, it is difficult for us to know what is bright or dark, up or down, forward or backward, correct or incorrect, right or wrong, beautiful or ugly, good or evil, dead or alive. In fuzzy swamps, Taiji thinking loses completely its effectiveness and there are no opposing parties. It is a fuzzy zone, a state of chaos. It is like Schrodinger's cat, impossible to know whether the cat is dead or alive. It is a roll of the dice, impossible to determine whether it will be heads up or tails up. It is gambling, impossible to know whether it will win or lose. It is a Mobius strip, you cannot tell the front side from the back side. When it is impossible to make a judgment about a phenomenon, a thing, or an event, it shows that we are in a fuzzy swamp in which we either run around blindly or wait patiently. In human life, when we are faced with a choice, we often enter a dilemma. What should we do? Should we continue in a relationship, or end it categorically? Should we go abroad or stay put? Should we keep our secure job or to start a new business? Is it better to rent a house or to buy one? Is it better to follow Buddhism or Christianity? Should we run away from home or stay in the same place where we have always been? Should we have noodles for dinner or pancakes? Is it better to wear casual clothes or a suit? Such situations make it difficult to choose because we are in fuzzy swamps. There is a period of time between dusk and nightfall which is a fuzzy zone that can also be called a buffer zone or a transition zone. We cannot say that the sky is dark or bright. We can only say that the sky is not quite either. In this vague area, my proposition, if it is not helpful, it will be harmful. If it is harmless, it will be beneficial, does not hold because we cannot figure out whether certain things, people, opportunities, or viewpoints are harmful or beneficial. The duration of a fuzzy zone can be as short as a few seconds, such as the rolling of dice, as long as several decades, such as self-cultivating to attain Tao, or even a whole lifetime, such as life and death. These fuzzy zones are swamps. In our lives, it is easy for us to be trapped in them and lose our way, which consumes our precious time and energy and ruins our bright futures. In my opinion, the so-called all living beings refers to people who have been trapped in fuzzy swamps all their lives, being busy all their lives and knowing neither where they came from nor where they are going and not knowing the true meaning of their behavior. They can only be like duckweed on a lake, swept up and down by the waves of the times, chasing the wind with confused thinking and minds as transient illusions or passing clouds. They do not know what they are doing on any day. I have observed these sentient beings in WeChat groups. Most of them are confused and are just messing around or being taken advantage of and killing their spare time. I have also observed the articles reposted in the Friends moments. From the articles reposted by anyone, you can see their virtue, sentiment, and cultivation, and know whether or not they are in a fuzzy swamp. When we are in fuzzy swamps, we need to remain calm and not decide anything. But one thing that we must do is to keep a close eye on the direction to which we are going, because when we are in a fuzzy swamp, we will not even know when we can reach our destination. It is just because of this that we are easily confused, slacken off, decadent, taking the wrong direction, or expending energy on goals that are opposite to our direction, which will ultimately lead to our failure even on the verge of success. For example, I started to learn English by myself in 1979. My method and direction of learning English was to travel abroad. From then on, I kept studying every day of every month, every year, never missing a single day, except for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. However, I never knew, even if I could go abroad, where my opportunities would be. This continued for more than 14 years, during which the cynicism and blow to my confidence never ceased. And during this time, I was actually in a fuzzy swamp. However, because of my continuous persistence of focusing on my target, I finally passed through the fuzzy swamp in 1993, reached my destination, and realized my wish to go abroad. Along this course, I once changed my direction. I went to study Chinese at Lanzhou Institute of Education, and after one semester, I found that something was very wrong. Mastering Chinese was irrelevant to my going abroad. So I decidedly switched from the Chinese department of Lanzhou Institute of Education to the English department of Zhochuan Institute of Education and continued to study English. Had I continued with my Chinese studies, the direction and goal that I had set in my heart in 1979 would have fallen through, and all my previous efforts would have been in vain. I spent more than 14 years traversing through a fuzzy swamp. My purpose of talking about fuzzy swamps is to tell all Chanyuan celestials that your goal after becoming a Chayuan celestial is to become a celestial being, to go to the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. Before reaching your destination, you are immersed in fuzzy swamps constantly. Although you have been self-improving and self-refining for several years or even decades, you feel that there is no obvious change. You make no improvement in sublimation. Every day seems to be the same as the day before and the day before that, and you still have a lot of difficulty and confusion to overcome before you. At this time, your confidence can be shaken easily and your faith can be blasted heavily. But please remember my example of learning English. It is only by continuous persistence, patience, and hard work to light up the sacred lamp in your heart, and with the perseverance of never straying from your path toward reaching heaven, that you will pass through the fuzzy swamp and reach your glorious end goal. In fact, the above principles apply to all people who want to realize their innermost goals. Whenever you are in a dilemma, it is a fuzzy swamp. Just give up your judgment first and make your unremitting effort by biting the bullet and persevering toward your fixed direction and goal. Then, after 3 years, 10 years, or maybe even 80 years or a lifetime, so long as you stick to it, you will be able to cross your personal fuzzy swam and reach the ideal shore. Man proposes, but the greatest creator disposes. As long as you stick to it, rubbing ropes against wooden boards will eventually cut into them. Persistent motivation comes from the longing and pursuit of a wonderful life. Shuifeng. What promotes everyone to live day by day? It is the Tathaga, nature, which has been the design program ever since life was originally created during the beginning of creation. For each life, whether they like it or not, must run around in circles to survive for several decades after being born, and this is not controllable by anyone. As people, we must run around solving the problems of eating, clothing, shelter, transportation, birth, aging, sickness, and death, although these are reluctant choices which lead to tragic lives. These are reluctant and tragic lives within the realms of necessity. If people cannot escape from the bondages of the realms of necessity, then no matter how they may live, trouble, pain, worry, anxiety, and fear will follow them forever. Life will rise and fall, set in sorrow and joy, and bloom and fade like flowers, until one reincarnation of life is finished and a new one begins anew. Coming back to the original point, after several years, many decades, or even centuries, these are the reincarnations of the realm of necessity. If we do not escape from the bondage of the realm of necessity and enter into the realm of freedom, then whatever we do and however glorious a state we can reach, everything is as futile and transitory as passing clouds. Nothing is worthy of being pursued or owned. Although the road leading forward is tortuous, it is only by targeting an eternal direction and goal and by walking firmly towards it that we can ever hope to walk out of the realm of necessity, out of the rises and falls, and out of the reincarnations of life, that we might taste and enjoy the scenery and joys along the road. Everything we pursue and own in the human world will eventually melt into emptiness or burst like bubbles. They are absolutely illusions and dreams. If everything in the human world eventually disappears, then what is worthy of being pursued? What is worthy of being owned? What is worthy of being strived for by consuming the energy of life? Either swim with the tide and do not care about truth or falsehood, sincerity or deception, beauty or ugliness, kindness or cruelty, good or evil, or what is yours or mine, because everything will disappear into silence when one eventually disappears from the world. Or move forward, firmly toward the realm of freedom which exceeds this human world and exceeds space and time. Where is the realm of freedom? Where is the way leading to the realm of freedom? The human world is not the realm of freedom because our bodies push us to run for survival. The realm of freedom is heaven, and the ultimate realm of freedom is the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. The road leading to the realm of freedom is the longing and pursuit of a wonderful life, and this is the source of persistent motivation. What are wonderful lives? They are states of no death, no pain and sorrow, no worry and fear, no trouble and misfortune, and no fighting and deprivation. But there is always joy, happiness, sunny life like beautiful springs, eternally green mountains and clear rivers, and one has the freedom to do whatever they want to do forever. What is fortunate is that we have found the way that directs us forward to the realm of freedom in which a broad, beautiful world is already waiting for us. The question is, how can we reach it? Can we keep going? Did we delay too much on the road, feel powerless like sighing before the sea, and get pulled back into the realm of necessity because of sluggishness? So many people have fallen down because they lost. Do you still have the motivation to move ahead? As long as you strive for and pursue the good life continuously, you will have persistent motivation, and can overcome all difficulties and finally reach the destination. But if your pursuit and longing are reduced or stopped, then you will stay in the same place and miss your opportunity to enjoy a truly beautiful life. Strength is the guarantee of dignity. Siefeng, being respected and not being insulted by others. No one dares to insult you, proves that you have dignity. If no one respects you, and you are often bullied, that proves that you have no dignity. Living with dignity is the instinctive desire of human beings. So how do we obtain dignity? The king of hell has dignity because he has strength. Nobel Prize winners have dignity because they have strength. Bill Gates and Musk have dignity because they have strength. The President of the United States has dignity because he has strength. The powerful the strength, the higher is the value of dignity. Without strength, there is no dignity. The more that people respect you, the greater the value of your dignity. Without respect, there is no dignity. To be respected by people depends entirely on one's own strength. Strength is earned by actions, not by words. You can't accumulate strength just by mere talk, but by your actions. Strength is a kind of potential energy, which is daunting and commands respect. Strength is a kind of internal power, and it cannot be won through quarrels and squabbles. Strength has nothing to do with interpersonal relationships. Just as immunity has no bearing on interpersonal relationships, strength is also unrelated to them. Hence, one cannot acquire strength by resorting to flattery, fawning, and self-demeaning behaviors to project oneself as a good person. Strength has nothing to do with status. Respect is an expression of emotion from the heart. If you have status, people will not dare to offend you, but they may despise you in their hearts. Therefore, even if you become a president, if you lack strength, people will ridicule and despise you behind your back. So relying on status alone does not necessarily lead to a dignified life. Just because people nod and bow and flatter you doesn't necessarily mean that you have dignity. Soldiers point guns at people, and cruel officials use power to suppress people, but in their hearts, people will not respect soldiers and cruel officials. How do you develop strength? First, you accumulate rich connotations through learning. One who is filled with knowledge always behaves with elegance. The second is practice, which is to embody one's own connotation with realistic images, and the last is its application, to benefit others. The more that people have benefited, the stronger the proof, the stronger the respect one has gained. The more skilled you are, the more powerful you are. If you play the flute well, play the arrow well, grow vegetables well, do a good job of cleaning and sanitary work, produce more high-quality products, teach well, treat diseases, and save lives in a timely and effective manner, and can lend a helping hand to save lives at critical moments, make vigorous efforts to turn the tide, and so on. These are all ways to save and gain strength, and you will be respected by other people, and will live with dignity. Character is also a manifestation of human strength. If you have an excellent character, you will be respected by people and live a dignified life. So, what exactly is strength? The answer is that any connotation and quality that a person possesses that can win people's respect comes from strength. As long as one has strength, he will live with dignity. Without strength, one cannot live with dignity. Struggling without a clear purpose are all in vain. Siefeng, what is the purpose of our life? What is the purpose of going to school? What is the purpose of making money as a boss? What is the purpose of holding an official position? What is the purpose of upholding family interests, national interests, religious interests, party interests, and state interests? What is the purpose of spending our days watching videos, sharing articles, videos, and pictures, arguing and debating online, and constantly writing and publishing articles? What is the purpose of our trying to uphold truth, preserve traditional culture, maintain ancestral dignity, uphold national unity, or uphold universal values? We advocate for reform and opening up for a market economy, for democracy and human rights, for capitalism or socialism, for learning from the West, for supporting Putin, for upholding the territorial integrity of Ukraine, and for the definite liberation of Taiwan. What is our purpose in doing all these? Forgetting the purpose of life. All our words and actions are just aimless struggles, all in vain. Is going to school the purpose of life? Is making money, the purpose of life? Is holding an official position the purpose of life? Is upholding this or that the purpose of life? Is writing, engaging in artistic creation, or spiritual practice the purpose of life? Going to school repeatedly, eventually obtaining a doctoral degree? And then what? Becoming famous? And then what? Is becoming famous the purpose of living? Continuously making money, amassing billions of dollars, and then what? In my experience, the purpose of life is to live happily, joyfully, freely, and fulfillingly. Focusing on this purpose, I have lived comfortably and freely for the past 30 years. For at least 20-some years, I have lived in a large villa and owned my own car. When revolving around the purpose of happiness, joy, freedom, and fulfillment in life, life becomes simple, fulfilling, enjoyable, relaxed, and natural. Apart from playing games, there is nothing significant to be done in life. Previously, I believed that morality was a remarkable discipline. Later, I discovered that anything that brings happiness, joy, freedom, and fulfillment to people is moral, while anything that doesn't is immoral. For a nation, if it does not enable its people to live happy, joyful, free, and fulfilling lives, what use is it? For marriage and family, if they do not enable people to live happy, joyful, free, and fulfilling lives, what use are they? For constitutions, laws, regulations, and precepts, if they do not enable people to live happy, joyful, free, and fulfilling lives, what use are they? What's the point of upholding or defending anything if it doesn't lead to a life of happiness, joy, freedom, and fulfillment? When a person achieves a life of happiness, joy, freedom, and fulfillment, they naturally contemplate the afterlife. Thus, exploring the mysteries of life, time, and space becomes the main purpose of life. When the mysteries of life and time are discovered, it further enhances the depth and breadth of happiness, joy, freedom, and fulfillment, leading one live a life of a celestial being. In a state of partial enlightenment, my worldview was, life is like a dream. The four elements are empty, and it should be fully experienced without regrets. My current worldview is, life is a journey with boundless life, aimed at benefiting sentient beings and ultimately reaching the heavens. The meaning and level of freedom. Xiefeng, like an eagle soaring freely in the high and empty blue sky, like a steed galloping across the endless grasslands, free to sway freely and bloom with neither boundaries nor fetters. Travel through the vastness of time and space at will. The pursuit of freedom comprises the unremitting efforts and the ultimate pursuits of all beings in the universe. Live free or die was the cry for freedom pursued by the American statesman Patrick Henry in his speech to the Virginia Parliament in order to gain independence from British rule in North America nearly a quarter millennium ago. The original meaning of the sentence from France was, "Set me free or kill me." Life is precious, but love is more expensive, yet if it is for freedom, then both can be discarded. This is from the Hungarian poet Petőfi Sándor's Freedom and Love, from his A Song of Liberty, 180 years ago in order to get rid of the slavery of the Austrian Empire. Freedom, you are the most beautiful flower in the forest, the eagle that spreads its wings high, the rushing river that flows without restraint, the boundless blue sea and waves, and the heaven of bliss. In your arms, there is neither fear nor worry, but only security for prevention, and there are no fetters, only the flirtatious splendor of Tathagata's nature. Freedom is the most holy and most desirable, the most charming and fascinating, the sexiest and most inspiring, and the most solemn and dignified. What is freedom? Freedom is to do as you please without breaking the rules. Freedom is to fully bloom the nature of Tathagata. Freedom is to do what you want without interfering with others in society and without harming nature. Freedom is to release the breath of love without interference or obstruction along the way. Freedom is to gallop freely in the boundless time and space without shackles, constraints, or fetters. Freedom is the greatest creator's gift of a natural right to life. In a free life, there is no trouble, pain, anxiety, or sorrow, let alone any fears, anxieties, precautions, or worries. Within a free life are only happiness, joy,